moments from court. And now we want to welcome our guest for this hour, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Jack Rice. And I really want to talk with both of you about my gut reaction as I'm listening to Chanley telling us all these details of what Melanie has to say. And Jack, it's so far out there. Is it a slam dunk for the state when you have this kind of testimony the jury's listening to?
Well, there's so much, and if you think about what this witness has done, this witness has taken them on the inside. This was really the entree. You start hearing about portals and dark spirits and all the rest, but what you really also do is you hit that key date where all of a sudden you find out that JJ's gone. And what you get from Melanie is exactly that, where you're saying, where is he? Where is he? And you find that Lori is trying to say to the police, guess what? She has him, and they know that she doesn't. That is a critical first step, but it also creates an interesting and, dare I say it, wild baseline of just how unstable all of this really is. I mean, you're right, this does feel a little bit like a Marvel universe.
And, you know, she's not saying anything about any kind of mental health issues. Her defense, as we know it at this point from opening, is alibi, Michael. It's an alibi defense that she wasn't there.
She made a note that she has an alibi, filed an alibi. I think her defense, though, according to the way insanity works or mental health defenses work, Jack, in Idaho, she can still claim that maybe there was some kind of something going on mentally that can negate one of the elements of the crime, let's say the mens rea. So my question to you is, what if she really believed this stuff? What if she really believed? Because again, it sounds to me like this stuff, I can understand the narrative of the state that this was all part of a plan to get what they wanted, and et cetera, get together, et cetera. But some of this stuff just sounds like she really believes this. So what if she really did believe this? Is that any kind of defense for her?
Well, again, this is the question of, does this go to the question of intent? Is there more here? And I do find it interesting when the state puts up Melanie, which does feel like a slam dunk. Unless what you're trying to do is to show a level of mental illness and a level of, dare I say it, incompetency, that she didn't have the mindset, the mens rea, in order to actually commit these sorts of crimes. Because otherwise, if you're saying, I didn't do it, it was somebody else, it was something different, why would you continue to harp and focus in on all of these issues? And if you notice during cross-examination, the defense team is actually leaning into them too. So they're using them. It's not as if it's just the state who's presenting all of this to show how sort of odd it is, but rather the defense is continuing to push out that narrative because it feels like, at least at some point here, they intend to pivot and use that very same, dare I say it, worldview.
You know, what's interesting, you know, they've accepted the fact that she kind of still, even now, believes that stuff. And in the opening statements, Jack, they made the point, and Judge as well, that this is a country that we're very tolerant of religion. We accept other forms of religion. So I think that lets you know that they're leaning into this whole religion thing.
I agree with you. They are. And I think by leaning into it, they can also point the finger at Chad Daybell, right? That's
Correct.
What this, I think,
Yes.
right? Exactly. They're going to lean into that narrative. We're going to see what they do.
I think some of that testimony from Melanie today even supports that. I mean, you could make the argument that some of the things she was talking about can support an argument that Chad was the guy who was basically got into her head and started to really build up these beliefs.
Yep. Was she the mastermind or was he? I think the jury's going to have to decide that.
I think it's an important issue.
Yeah, I think so too. All right.
All right. Coming up next, folks, I'm sorry. The chilling surveillance in our newest Court TV trial.
A trash bag tossed into a dumpster with a newborn inside. We're going to pick up with more key testimony.
Tonight on Closing Arguments, another dramatic day in the doomsday cult mom murder trial. Lori Vallow Daybell, along with her husband Chad Daybell, stand accused of murdering her 2 children and Chad's first wife.
She turned her head and was quite upset. She wouldn't make eye contact with anyone.
Court TV teams are live from Boise, Idaho, covering all angles of the trial that has captivated the nation.
Closing Arguments, tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
Hello, Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Michael Ayala here with Judge Ashley Wilcott. Turning to New Mexico now. That's where 19-year-old Alexis Avila is accused of throwing her newborn son into a dumpster.
And surveillance video is key in this case. In January of last year, Avila was seen driving up, throwing the baby into the garbage bin in the frigid cold behind a mall.
Now, miraculously and thankfully, the baby survived after 3 dumpster divers actually found the baby. What are the odds of that?
I know, right? Fortuitous. It's unbelievable, really, to me, Michael, that this baby did survive. But we do want to take you to some of the testimony. We're going to pick up now with Earl Biddick Hobbs, an officer who investigated the case.
Were you working for the Hobbs Police Department in January of 2022?
Yes, sir, I was. Yes.
What were your job duties in January of 2022?
Patrol duties, normal patrol duties, responding to calls, writing reports, whatever comes across the radio that we're required to respond to.
Now, I'm going to refer your attention to a particular date, January 7th of 2022. Did you receive a call for service?
Yes, sir. Actually, I wasn't assigned the call that particular day. I saw a call for service came across the radio. Dispatch advised us that a caller stated there was a baby found in a dumpster.
What did you do in response to that?
So I was just a few blocks away at the time the call came in. Excuse me. So I decided to go ahead and respond to the area.
And taking this just one step at a time, where was this dumpster located that you were going to?
It's located behind Rig Outfitters, just directly behind the business.
Could you describe for the jury with a little bit more particularity, what city and general location this Rig Outfitters is located?
Sure. Rig Outfitters is obviously located in Hobbs, New Mexico. It's the location that I actually went to behind Rig Outfitters is, I believe, the intersection of Ute and Thorpe, I believe.
Is Rig Outfitters a freestanding structure, or is it part of a strip mall or general mall?
It's part of a strip mall.
Okay. And with regards to the dumpster that you were going to, did you know whether it would be at the front of the store or at the back of the store?
Dispatch advised us it was at the back of the store primarily.
So is that where you went?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Let's talk a little bit about the conditions that evening. First, in terms of January 7th, approximately what time were you heading out?
About 7:44, about 15 till 8, something like that, in the evening.
What were the light conditions at that time?
It was dark.
What about temperature that night?
It was somewhere 36 to 40 degrees, somewhere in that temperature range.
In terms of the clothing that you were wearing that night, were you anticipating the weather in any way in terms of your choice of clothing?
So, yes, what I normally do, especially when it's cold, is try to wear a T-shirt and then, of course, my body armor, then outside, excuse me, uniform. That usually keeps me fairly warm, but on this particular night, it wasn't enough. So,
and at this point, Your Honor, permission to approach the witness with what's pre-marked as States 34.
you may.
Do you recognize what I'm handing to you, sir?
Yes.
Just in terms of some foundational questions, in your department, do you wear body-worn cameras?
Yes, correct.
Did you record your interactions that night with your body-worn camera?
Yes, sir. I did my body camera once I got out of my unit.
About how much body-worn camera did you generate that night?
I honestly don't remember how much I generated that night. It was, altogether probably several hours at least, I would imagine, something like that.
And in terms of the contents of that disc, have you reviewed the contents of that disc prior to your testimony today?
Yes, sir.
Does that disc contain about a minute and 17 seconds of your body-worn camera?
Yes, sir, yes.
What, if anything, does it show that you can describe for the jury, just very generally?
It shows my interaction, responding to the scene, responding to the call, being the first unit on scene. Keep them warm. Keep them covered up. Keep them warm. Just keep them warm. Keep them wrapped up. Keep them warm. Who found them? Okay. Hey, you guys have to back him up with?
They were crying and I was like, I took the bag and I was like, oh my God.
Which dumpster? Yeah, keep him wrapped up. He's right here.
You know whose baby it is? Is it your baby? Is it your baby? We were dumpster diving.
We were just getting the dumpster about the flood.
You want to put him in the unit where he get warm?
While you were at the scene, what was your number one concern?
My number one concern is to make sure that we didn't expose the baby more than he had already been exposed, and keep him covered up, keep him as, excuse me, as warm as possible.
Why were you concerned about exposure?
Well, when I walked up to the truck, obviously April opened the towel to let me steam, so as cold as it was, and again, I was already cold being out there. The baby didn't have any kind of covering whatsoever, so my immediate concern was to make sure that he stayed covered up and not exposed to any more colder weather than he already had been.
Were you able to tell by viewing the baby what the baby's condition was, to the extent that you could?
Yeah, so my impression when I looked at the child, I had dried blood on him, dried blood on the towel. The towel appeared to be damp, so just my initial immediate reaction was the baby's probably very, very cold. So when she opened up the towel, I told her, obviously just cover him up and let's keep him covered up until paramedics get here, which they were only like, I think, a minute or two behind us.
With regards to the work that you did at the scene after the baby was handed off to Officer Maxwell, what, if anything, did you do next?
So after Officer Maxwell took the child to the ambulance and attended to the hospital, I then turned my attention to the three individuals that I had made contact with, which was April Nuttall, Hector Jaso, and Michael Green. And I asked them what occurred that night. And each of them basically gave me the same story. Forgive my voice. They each told me that they were there dumpster diving behind rig outfitters because they wouldn't free.
And I'll just stop you there because we're just going to be focusing on your observations and the investigation that you took. Would it be fair to say that you interviewed Hector, April, and Michael?
Yes, sir. That's right.
And based off that information, what, if anything, did you do next?
After I took their information down and got their statements and what they told me, I then began to try to write the report, waited enough officers on the scene that we secured the scene. I repositioned my patrol unit to the alley and then began writing the base report.
With regards to the scene, did you perform any steps to collect forensic evidence or collect video or take pictures or anything of that nature?
No, sir, I did not. The other officers and Detective Perez did not. We contacted CID as soon as we arrived on scene, or shortly after we arrived on scene. CID was contacted, and they began that process. We waited for them to arrive to do that process. The rest of the officers were on scene basically securing it.
What about with regards to video of the scene? Did you ever come to acquire knowledge that there was a video in that alleyway?
Yes, sir. I'm not sure which officer contacted up the owner of Rig Outfitters, but while I worked on my report, at some point in time, the officers went into Rig Outfitters and made contact with the owner of it, and that's when I found out there was video.
Okay. And when you found out there was video, what did you do next?
So I went inside, made contact with Joseph, who is the owner of Rig Outfitters, and he showed me a video of what he had found.
And were you able to view the video that he had found?
Yes, he played the video for me, which, if I remember correctly, started at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, where the video showed a white vehicle pulling up next to the dumpster, and then a female getting out of the vehicle and extracting what appears to be a trash bag out of the back seat and tossing it into the dumpster.
Did you know at the time that you viewed the video who this suspect was that was responsible for throwing the baby into the dumpster? What steps, if any, did you take to uncover who this suspect was?
So, I'm not sure which officer had made contact with dispatch, but we only had a partial tag on the vehicle. The first part of the plate is all we were able to see in the video. I did notice also in the video that there was some type of a white sticker in the back windshield of the vehicle, and that the hubcap on the driver's side rear tire was missing. So
So with that information of the description of the Jetta, some unique characteristics of the sticker, hubcap, and then the partial for the plate, did you end up following up and identifying the vehicle from the video?
Yes, sir. Eventually did. Yes, we were given a full plate, I believe, by dispatch, and we later on went to the address where the registration was for that vehicle.
When you went to the McKenzie address, were you able to see the vehicle that you believe was on the video?
Yes, sir, that's correct. So when I arrived with Detective Perez, we both drove over there at the same time, and I saw a vehicle that appeared to match the video from the car from the video.
So when you see that the vehicle matches the vehicle that's depicted on the video, what steps, if any, did you take to make sure that that is taken and collected?
Pictures were, I believe, taken of the vehicle. And then, of course, we eventually just, I don't remember the steps after that. I think we ended up seizing the vehicle and processed it at the PD, and I wasn't part of that.
And still ahead, a new witness takes the stand in the baby in a dumpster trial.
Plus, the latest testimony from the Doomsday Cult Mom trial as well. Keep it here on Court TV, your front row seat to justice.
Tonight on Closing Arguments, another dramatic day in the Doomsday Cult Mom murder trial. Our legal experts break down what's had the biggest impact so far with this jury.
Closing Arguments tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
A quiet community rocked by tragedy.
Gannon Stout disappeared from his home.
Gannon's stepmother was charged with his murder.
She will pay for this heinous thing she does.
The stepmother murder trial. Live coverage continues tomorrow morning on Court TV.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Ashley Wilcott here with Michael Ayala. We're both happy to be with you all, where we are bringing you testimony, which is still underway right now in Idaho in the Doomsday Cult Mom trial for Lori Vallow Daybell.
Right now, the jury is hearing from Detective Nathan Duncan. Now, he's being questioned on his investigation of Lori's ex-husband, Charles Vallow.
And his opinion of where he was located when the second shot was first. He says, yes, based on the trajectory from lower abdomen and wound to the upper left shoulder, Charles would have been laying on the ground when that second shot was fired.
And he also says information came forward that Charles was possibly killed because he was a dark spirit and there were some infidelities that he may have discovered.
And a reminder, of course, cameras are not in the courtroom. We're bringing you reports of this testimony coming to us straight from that courtroom. This is the case in which the defendant is, of course, charged with triple murder in the deaths of her 2 young children and Chad's first wife, Tammy. We'll bring you more live updates in the next hour. Now turning back to Hobbs, New Mexico, where we're bringing you key moments in the baby in a dumpster trial.
Alexis Avila is facing first-degree murder, attempted first-degree murder charges and abuse of a child after leaving her baby in a dumpster in near-freezing temperatures.
And she later confessed to the police, but her defense team disagrees with the state's interpretation of the evidence in the case.
Now, 3 people were dumpster diving and then found the baby alive, a real, true miracle. We're thankful for that. Now, before we pick it back up with testimony, I want to bring in criminal defense attorney Jack Rice, who's been with us throughout the hour. And Jack, you know what's interesting about this case is, as I read the facts about the case and learning more about the case, one thing that I wanted to know more about was this woman, her background. What were her parents like? What was the father like? Where was he? Was he around? How much of that will get in front of this jury? Because I know you just can't bring in, copious amounts of character evidence, but some of that would be relevant, would it not?
No question. I think it absolutely would come in simply because it provides more, not just a character in any sense, but just the broader context of where we are. But Michael and Your Honor, when I think about this case, I keep asking myself this fundamental question: why is it that we're in trial in the first place? I mean, honestly, what we have is a videotape of her throwing the baby in the dumpster. We have admissions from her saying, I was the person who threw the baby in the dumpster. We know that it was all there. So we have that issue, and the real question in my mind is, what do you do with an 18-year-old in this circumstance with these limitations who makes a decision like this. And the idea is that sometimes trials are necessary and required, but frequently, trials can also be sledgehammers. And the problem with that is that this may need a scalpel. And I fear sometimes that there may have been a better way to address mental illness, limitations, postpartum depression, a whole series of things that a lot of women have addressed and had to deal with, but also children or unstable people and people with mental illness. And I think that could have done with that scalpel question versus the hammer question that we're seeing with this trial.
Yeah, you know, I agree with you 100%. And all those things, Judge, for me, because I see this as a clear-cut case, she's guilty of this crime based on her actions.
Agreed.
And all the things that you're talking about, Jack, are very real. But for me, they go to sentencing.
Yes.
And that might have been the issue why this may not have been able to be settled before they got to trial.
And you asked me this question when we were on our break and we were talking about it. And Jack, I just have to respectfully push back a little bit because I do understand what you're saying. I think it does go to sentencing. But the reality is you have in this country, in this world, many people suffering from the things you've described. Postpartum, mental health conditions. Guess what they're not doing? They are not throwing their live baby in a trash bag in a dumpster.
Yeah, there is no question, Your Honor, and I had a feeling where you would come at me with it.
You were right.
I'm not shocked. I get it, mea culpa. But that being said, if we think about everything that really is going to be coming forward in the defense part of this case, a lot of this is to mitigation. A lot of this is going to come from who is this young woman and why is it that you go to trial under these circumstances? And yes, what she did was a horrible thing, but I think it's much broader than that. And it's not a question of whether she did or didn't do it. As we can all agree, she did. The question is why? How? What are the limitations? And most importantly, what do we do now? How does this protect her? How does this protect society? How does this protect the process? And I think those can be done far more effectively with experts in the room, not just simply saying, let's pound on this with that sledgehammer.
And that's why I'm very surprised this case was not resolved without a trial, that they weren't able to come together in some form. All right, we have to let you go. Jack Rice, thank you so much for joining us both this hour.
All right, now, folks, we're going to pick up now with Jennifer Maxwell. She's another police officer assigned to that particular case. Let's get back into that courtroom.
Were you on duty or working on January 7th of 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
What time of day shift were you working on that day?
It was night shift. It was after 7.
And did you have an area or an assignment for that evening?
I didn't. I was filling in that night, so I was just roving, so I was assigned to everywhere.
And did it come about that you went to the area of the Broadmoor Mall due to some type of call?
Yes, ma'am.
How did that come about?
It was a medical call that dispatch gave out over the radio.
Now, do you recall what time of evening it was that you went out on that call?
It was after 7, but before 8 o'clock. I don't know the exact time.
Now, when you responded, was this a respond with like lights and sirens, or how did you respond?
Yes, we were told it was a life-threatening matter, so anytime there's life at risk, we run with our lights and sirens.
How far away, if you recall, were you when you were notified to go to the Broadmoor Mall?
I was several blocks away. I would probably say 3 or 4 miles away, and I made it there pretty quick.
Was any other officer already there when you got there?
Yes.
What was occurring? What were you seeing as you arrived?
When I got there, the officers were standing by a truck, and so I ran over to where they were, and then that's when I made contact with April.
Describe what you were seeing as you saw this female inside of the truck.
So she had on like a hoodie or something, like a jacket, and it was like a wet towel, and the baby was inside her jacket, wrapped in a wet towel sitting on her chest. I asked her if it was her baby. She said no, and then I took the baby from her.
Now, as you took the baby from her, describe how did that towel feel?
So that night it was probably about 40 degrees or lower, and that towel was wet. Like and the towel even felt, you know, if you put like a wet towel in the freezer, that's what it felt like. It was super cold.
As you took the baby, tell us what you could observe about the baby.
I could tell he was breathing. I could tell it was a boy. He had dried blood on him, and you could see that his umbilical cord had been cut. He wasn't moving. He didn't open his eyes. He was, like, even when you rub a baby's hand in, or their palm and they grasp your, he didn't do any of that. He wasn't hardly breathing at all and wouldn't move at all.
What did you do as you take this baby, you got him, where are you going, what are you doing?
So the ambulance hadn't got there yet, so I took him to my unit, and I didn't have a jacket or blanket or anything. All I had was one of those neck gaiter things that keeps your neck warm. So I took the wet towel off of him, and I put his little body in that little neck gaiter thing, and then I just held him in my unit because I had already had the heater going because it was freezing. So I just kind of held him in there and just kind of rubbed him a little to maybe get some circulation going until the ambulance got there. He had a little bruise or a cut on his forehead. And again, I mean, he was very cold, and like he was still covered in blood, like dried blood. So you could tell he was kind of blue and kind of red from the blood, and he just had, like, his skin didn't look right at all. Like his skin was, I guess it was not freezer, not, what is it, frostbite, maybe. It looked like he needed some medical help.
Now, once the ambulance was at the hospital, what did you do?
I stayed there with the baby because we didn't have anybody else there with him. And so until CYFD showed up, which I called on the way to the hospital, I called for a CYFD worker to meet me at the hospital. And so I stayed there with the baby because he's basically in my custody until we find placement for him.
All right, it's that time again to pay some bills. When we come back, we'll have more testimony from Officer Maxwell.
And what she said about the umbilical cord still being attached to the newborn. Stay tuned.
All he wanted to do was make the music business legit.
Murder on Music Row.
It was shocking, just the way that it was carried out in the middle of the street like that.
Was this shooting a robbery gone wrong or a cover-up for the dark secrets of country music?
He was going to expose this chart-fixing scheme.
There was an underbelly of the music business. He did not want to be part of it.
I'll get Kevin Hughes handled or he'll be gone.
Someone They Knew with Tamron Hall. Tonight, 7/6 Central.
Only on Court TV.
Welcome back. While we were covering the Latham trial this week, testimony was getting underway in the New Mexico trial for teenage mother Alexis Avila. She's accused of throwing her own newborn baby boy into a dumpster. She's now been charged with attempted first-degree murder as well as child abuse.
Now, the defense is asking the jury to hold Avila accountable for her actions, but not for what the state is charging her with. It really creates an interesting dilemma. We're going to pick back up with Jennifer Maxwell. She's another officer that was assigned to investigate this case.
Experience prior to the night of January 7th of 2022 with like someone giving childbirth, having to aid with that, aiding with, you know, taking the baby, maybe cutting the umbilical cord. Has you had any of that kind of experience?
Well, I've had 3 kids, and I've been present during the birth of some other children, but not professionally training, no professional training or anything like that.
Did you observe anything about that umbilical cord that concerns you with how it was at the time you had the baby?
Yes, because it wasn't like a clean cut, and normally when you have a baby, they cut the umbilical cord and put that little plastic thing around it to secure it, and it's really short, and his was still pretty long.
And so there was nothing securing it in, and it was longer than normal.
Yeah, and it didn't look like straight across. It was kind of like torn almost.
Officer Maxwell, what are we seeing in State's Exhibit 5?
This is the baby that we took to the hospital.
Now, we can see that he seems to have like some things on him, stuck on his, kind of on his chest, something maybe going into his mouth.
Yes, the pacifier.
And you were there during the time that they were trying to begin all of these things to take care of the baby.
Yes, and while they were doing the IV, I was even trying to see if he would like start to suck on the pacifier, and he wouldn't.
I want to ask you a few questions about some of your testimony that you just gave a moment ago. So, when you first saw the baby, you said the baby was not crying?
No.
The baby was not making any sounds?
Not that I recall.
Okay. When you first approached the baby, were there other officers around?
Yes.
Did that include Officer Biddick?
Yes.
Okay. And you don't remember hearing the baby cry?
No.
Okay. But you remember everything else that happened on this day? Okay. So you collect the baby from April Model directly, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you described at length to us a towel the baby was wrapped in.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you know if April wrapped that baby in the towel?
I do not.
You don't know if the baby was wrapped in the towel prior to April having the baby?
I don't.
So you also tell us that the baby's skin was bloody?
Yes.
There were some bloody patches on him? And we saw that on the pictures as well.
Yes.
Was the baby bleeding?
Not that I could tell. It was dry blood.
Okay. So in that moment it wasn't bleeding?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay. And now let's get to where in the hospital there were attempts at wiping the baby.
Yes.
Were you helping out to wipe the baby?
Yes.
With a baby wipes?
Yeah, something in the hospital.
Something like that?
Yeah.
Okay. But they weren't warmed up, were they?
No, they were just like
Regular
temperature.
Okay. And you were attempting to use that to wipe the baby?
Yes.
Were you able to successfully wipe the baby?
We cleaned off one hand just enough to, but other than that, no.
Okay. And let me back up just a little bit, sorry. So you take the baby to the ambulance when they arrive, right? Mm-hmm. You hand the baby over.
Yes.
And then you go to your unit.
Mm-hmm.
You were not in the ambulance with the baby?
No.
Okay. And so you don't know what was done in the ambulance for the baby?
No.
You don't know if there were any medications administered to the baby?
No.
Any attempts at warming him up?
No, ma'am.
You don't know what happened in that ambulance?
No, I don't.
Okay. So the next time you see the baby, he had already some attention?
Yes.
So by the time you get to the hospital, is the baby's demeanor exactly the same as when you first saw him?
As I recall, yes.
Okay. And what you recall is that the baby was not crying when you first saw him.
Not that I remember.
He was making no sounds at all.
I don't recall that, so I don't know. I don't recall that.
Okay. So to be clear, you don't recall the baby, whether or not the baby was crying when you first encountered
Not
him?
when I first got there. I think I was a little kind of shocked at the whole situation. So if he was, and there was a lot going on, but so I don't remember if he was crying then or not.
Okay, that is understandable. Okay, so now when we are at the hospital, you indicate that at some point you observed the baby's umbilical cord, and you indicate that it was not a clean-cut umbilical cord.
Right.
Okay. How many times have you seen a baby's cut umbilical cord?
I mean, I had 3 children, so
You saw
at least 3 times.
Okay. And at each time that you saw this umbilical cord cut, it was a clean cut?
Yes.
Maybe surgical scissors?
Maybe.
Something professionally done? Cut by who exactly?
Mine were cut by the doctors.
The doctors. And so it was clean?
Yes.
In this situation, it looked completely different?
Yes.
Okay. But at the moment that you saw the baby, there was no bleeding actively happening?
I don't believe so, no, because all the blood that I saw was dry.
Was already dry. Okay. Was there also some dry blood on that towel?
I don't recall.
Okay. It was kind of a traumatic event, right?
Yeah, well, and the towel was pink too, so I mean, I don't think that I paid that much attention to the what was on the towel, just how it felt cold.
Okay. And more importantly, making sure the baby was fine? Of course. Okay. So let's talk about this bruise that you eventually observed on the baby's head. Do Do you have any idea of how the bruise got there?
No idea.
Okay. Do you know if the doctors knew how the bruise got there? Anybody? No?
Because when I took him from April and I took the towel off, that's one of the first things I noticed was that little purple spot on his head.
Okay. You don't know if April was able to tell how he got there?
No, I didn't ask him.
Coming up next, Chanley Painter joining us live from Idaho.
She's been inside that courtroom today in the Doomsday Cult Mom trial. This is Court TV Live, your front row seat to justice.